If you have kids in school, then you're way too familiar with heavy, cumbersome backpacks. If used properly, a backpack obviously can be a very useful thing, but it's the improper use that can lead to pain and injury. In fact, I'm seeing a lot more kids in my office now with upper back pain, neck pain, symptoms down in their shoulders and arms that can be attributed to the improper use of a backpack. So after this video, there should be no more excuses and no more pain and injury. I'd like to cover a few simple tips that can help your child implement the proper use of a backpack on a consistent basis. And to start with, let's talk about shopping for a pack. When you pick out a backpack, ideally you should be able to find one with nice wide padded shoulder straps like this. For a couple of reasons. Obviously for comfort, but secondly it's going to help adjust that fit a little bit better as well. And the other thing to look for is a pack that has at least a few different compartments like this. And I'll talk about why in just a minute. Now as far as the fit, when you're trying these on, the ideal situation is for the bottom of that pack to roughly fall around mid-lumbar or lower lumbar level. And the reason for that is you want that weight distributed into the hips and carried from there, and then the shoulder straps act like stabilizers. Too many kids carry these packs way down below their butt. They're hanging down like this, or they're way up on top of their shoulders. In either situation, that's not good and can lead to injury. When you talk to avid hikers who wear the big frame backpacks, they'll tell you that about 80 to 85% of that weight should be distributed down into the hips, and that's just not happening with kids these days. So the other consideration is the weight of the pack. And the ideal situation is for that the backpack to weigh about 15% of your child's body weight. Now, if your kid weighs 100 pounds, for example, that's 15 pounds. This is 15 pounds right here, these 3 textbooks. So you can see how quickly that weight adds up. Throw on top of this some notebooks and other accessories, and pretty quickly that weight can get out of hand. So the first thing to keep in mind is that if at all possible, carry only the books that are essential to your day. And I know that's not always possible because kids can't get to their lockers between classes, so it's that much more important to make sure this thing fits properly and is utilized properly. The other thing as far as loading those books into this pack, I mentioned the compartments a little bit earlier. You want to make sure you have at least one big main compartment in the rear so that you can load the heavy books and backpacks, books and notebooks into. And the reason for that is if you carry anything heavy close to your body, it's a lot more manageable. And you've experienced this, I'm sure. But the further away you get, that weight actually compounds, becomes more cumbersome. And it's the same principle with this pack. You want all the heavy items toward the rear of the pack, right up against your body. And then these smaller compartments can carry the lighter accessories as you get further away from the body. Now the other thing that's our responsibility as parents is, I'd say once a week or so, monitor what's in that backpack. I had a couple come into me with their child, and this little girl had this very heavy backpack, and they said, can you take a look at it and make sure she's using it properly? I looked at it, it had all the usual stuff, books and notebooks. As I got toward the bottom though, I saw all these rocks in there. I started pulling out rock after rock. It turned out this little girl had a rock collection that she loved and didn't want out of her sight, so she'd actually carry it to and from school every day. Luckily, I was able to convince her that her collection would be safe at home, and she took all the rocks out, and the rest is history. So check the pack on a weekly basis and make sure there's nothing in there that does not need to be. The other thing is to make sure that it's still fitting properly. After a few days use, these straps can come loose and the fit can be off. And then the other biggie that we see a lot of kids doing is throwing one shoulder strap, over one shoulder, constantly weighing down one side like this. So make sure your kids are using both of those straps. It's going to even out the load. Obviously, if there's constant pulling this way, you can see how that can create an imbalance, not just in the spine, but in the muscles and supporting structures around the spine as well. So, got those tips? They're pretty simple, but if they're implemented on a consistent basis, they can go a long way towards saving your child from pain and injury associated with improper backpack use.